let's go to Jon Jones. A week after we spoke to him, he is back on the show, back to back. This is very exciting. Jon, are you there? Jon Jones, are you there?
Yeah, what's up, Ariel?
Hey, Jon, long time no speak.
Yeah, I know.
Well, thank you again for joining us. I really appreciate it. It's it's been a very interesting time for you, and coming back to back. Wow, I'm gonna feel a little spoiled here, and almost expect this out of you, that you're gonna be joining us every week on the show. Is that wrong on my part?
Ariel, whatever you want. You're that guy.
Oh, wow. I am honored. Okay. Well, let's talk about this. So much has changed since we last spoke to you. Let's talk about the new news first. You're fighting Ovince Saint Preux. We know this, April 23rd, interim title. Did it take a lot of convincing on anyone's part to get you to take this fight on 3 weeks' notice, or were you down right away?
Originally the UFC called me and asked me to fight Anthony Johnson. And they said that he had already accepted the fight. And they asked me if I was going to accept the fight. And I told them I needed to have a meeting with my coaches. And had a meeting with my coach. And the next morning, I called the UFC and said, hey, let's do this thing. And they said that Anthony's camp changed their mind, I guess, since he had some dental work he needs to do. So that made no sense to me whatsoever. For him to be ready at one point, and then the next minute there was some dental work. So I just told Dana, well, listen, I told Lorenzo actually, whoever you need me to fight, I want to make things right from UFC 151, and I want to do something for my fans, something positive. I know people who have been saving up for months to make it out to Vegas for the fight. I know guys who this is their anniversary gift, and this is, birthday gifts for some people. And I was just like, I've put my fans through so much already. I need to get out there and just put it on the line. And so I said, I'll fight anybody. And they came up with Ovince.
And you just said yes. You were sticking true to that word that you'll fight anyone. You didn't even think twice. You just said yes right away. Oh, what happened? Are you there, Jon?
That's what that was. What was that?
I don't know. Maybe someone's vacuuming. I don't know if you heard me there, but so when they said Ovince, you just said yes. No questions asked.
Yeah, I said yes. No hesitation.
Okay.
Could have been anyone.
What was your reaction when you heard that after all of this, that DC was not going to be able to fight? How did you react to that news? How did you take it in?
It hurt. It hurt. At first, I had a feeling of sadness because of how hard me and my coaches have been working. How hard me and my coaches have been working. Everything that I have been doing was to beat DC. Every position, every move, every zig, every zag, every reaction, every counter, it was for DC. My defense is everything was for DC, and I'm sure my coaches are really excited to have a champion in the gym again. And I have some new trainers and new people in my life who I will be their first world champion athlete that they're trained for their resume and stuff like that. So I was excited just to make a lot of people proud. And for that to be postponed, I was more sad for the people around me than I was for myself. But then again, I'm a person who I'm very optimistic, and I try to take negatives and to make it work out for my good. And so I said, when God has a plan, and maybe I wasn't meant to fight DC right now. Maybe I was meant to fight someone else. So I'm not questioning the way things worked out. I'm just rolling with it, and I want to make the best out of this opportunity.
And so you talk about that belt.
A dominating performance.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You mentioned that belt and what it means. Does the interim belt do the trick? Will that mean anything to you if you get it back? If you get that interim belt, kind of a weird situation as I talked about before you joined us. You were the champ. It was taken away. Now you're fighting for the interim belt. Will that feel like an accomplishment to you at all?
Initially I felt So I didn't care about an interim title. You know, in my heart, I feel as if I'm a champion. You know, I know that I'm a champion. You know, the things I've been able to do in my career. You know, if I were to never fight again, I would be able to tell my kids and grandkids that you know, I was a champion and I'm a champion. So I feel like a champion. So when I was offered the interim title, it really didn't do much for me the way it would probably do most. I want the actual thing back. That was my first feeling, like, oh, what do you do, an interim title? And then I started to think about it, and I thought, you know what? You know, it'll make a lot of people proud. You know, a lot of people proud to see me with the belt, even if it's the interim title. And, you know, it would just be something really positive surrounding me. And, you know, it'll be good. It's a good thing ultimately. So, you know, do I care about an interim title? Not really, but at the same time, I see the good that comes from it. So I'm grateful for that to be happening in my life.
Is there a silver lining here? Is it perhaps because you've been away for so long that you get to fight? Like, you know how it is. The odds makers have you listed as a huge favorite now. You know, he's not ranked near you. I believe he's 6 or 7 at the moment. You know, DC earlier in the show called this kind of like an old-fashioned tune-up fight, and maybe that's not the worst thing, considering the layoff. Do you view it that way as well?
No, I don't look at this as a tune-up fight. You know, I felt pretty tuned up fighting, you know, all these upsides I have here at practice. I feel ready to go. You know, to look at Ovince as a tune-up fight would just be disrespectful to Ovince, and I'm not trying to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think when you fight someone who is such an underdog, you know, I think they're more dangerous than ever. The guy has absolutely nothing to lose. So I wanted to treat him not as a tune-up fight, but as another fight. As somebody who has his own story, who has hunger and his own ambition, and you know, he has an opportunity of a lifetime. So I want to treat him really, really seriously, and look at, you know, myself as fighting another top guy in the world. Treat him with the respect he deserves. Give him all I got.
Of course, I'd be remiss if I don't ask you about last week. What was going through your mind, Jon, when you were behind bars just a couple of days after all this happens? You didn't expect it, obviously. You told us on the show. You know, mentally, how are you dealing with everything, and how are you mentally? A lot of people are thinking, like, how are you moving on from this? How are you dealing with all of this after what happened to you? A very unique thing to happen 3 weeks out before a fight.
Well, I just can't stop thinking about my boyfriend that I left back there in that cell. And we had some really good times together in those short 3 days. So yeah, it's kind of sad. I wrote him. He hasn't wrote me back yet, so I'm just hoping he got my letter.
So clearly, no sweat.
No, man. You know what? It was an opportunity to be re-humbled. You know, it honestly made me think about some of the things that I've earned. You know, my home and just my bed mattress and my beautiful fiance and my kids. You know, it made me really think about how blessed I am, and made me more grateful than ever. You know, to have freedom, and to be famous, and like, you know, all this stuff, man. And, you know, things that I take for granted, things that sometimes, you know, I just thought to myself, man, I'm sitting here in a jail cell, eating ramen noodles, you know, eating the worst food ever, 23-hour lockdown. It was just like, man, what a different way to live, you know, just to go from, you know, having so much to just, you know, I remember a guy gave me a pen and paper, and I remember feeling so grateful for such a simple thing, pen and paper. I was just like, dude, thank you so much. You know, it was just like, you know, it was for a reason, man. It was for a reason, man. I think think God has a plan for me, and he was just, maybe I needed more humbling. I don't know. And it definitely did that. It definitely made me more hungry than ever. I saw things like, the opportunity that I have to compete in the UFC in front of the whole world, and how much of a special thing that really is. How my life could be so different. And I just thought about these things. And I took a lot of positives from it, to be honest with you. A lot of time to reflect on what a blessing it is to be in this sport and in my position. And I'm more grateful than ever.
Your coach, Greg Jackson, told us a couple hours ago that you now have a full-time driver. I just wanted to know if that was accurate, and if so, are you confident that the issues are gone, that you won't have these issues anymore?
Yeah, right now I have Nutrition here. Shout out to Nutrition. You can check him out on Instagram. Great meals, weight management specialist. I have him here, and he's driving me in between every practice and all day, even at night now. And I figure I take getting in trouble out of the police's hands by simply not driving. I'm starting to realize that. If you look at the things that's happened throughout my career, I've never gotten in a street fight or nothing crazy. It's always been something behind the wheel. And so, simply not driving, I'm pretty positive that there won't be any issues coming up in my life, especially, sobriety as well. I've failed some drug tests in the past, and I've gotten some, traffic issues in the past. So now that I'm sober, now that I'm just not going to drive anymore for a while, I think we're going to be good.
Not sure if you heard this, Jon. A little wacky development happened on the show today. Daniel Cormier extended an invitation to OSP to come to San Jose to train with him and the team to prepare for you, to help. He wanted to help him beat you. And then later on, OSP respectfully declined the invitation. And I'm just curious what you think about it. I mean, most people are expecting you at some point to meet Daniel in the near future. What are your thoughts on this invitation?
Daniel is an absolute coward who will never beat me. And I say that not from an arrogant place. I say that from a place where me getting my belt back means everything to me. I represent it with that belt right now as a big part of my life. It means everything to me. Me losing to OSP should be the last thing that he would want. Because if I were to somehow lose, that means he doesn't get to revenge his only loss. Him inviting OSP to his training camp shows me that he's so grateful that he's not fighting me in 3 weeks. That he's so grateful that he gets to have one more family photo op with that belt. Because he knows he's not going to beat me, especially now with a knee injury. He's going to be nursing his knee to get back to 100%. I'm going to just be getting stronger, better, faster, and more rehearsed in my game plan to beat him. So Daniel, man, he's a mental midget. I'm not worried about Daniel. Obviously, him inviting OSP shows that he's so lucky he'll be watching from the sidelines and not actually in that cage with me.
You put out the tweet saying, you don't wish injuries upon anyone. And you said, kind of like what you just said now, enjoy the belt. And then I go to sleep at like 9 o'clock, but there was some talk that you put out another tweet late at night saying, so much for willing to die. But then you took it down.
Right.
Was that you, Jon?
I thought it was funny. I actually stole that from a fan. One of my Instagram followers wrote that on my wall. Hey, what about Daniel being willing to die to beat you? And now he's sitting out because of a knee. And like I said, I don't wish injuries upon anybody. It's unfortunate that he's hurt. But then again, I hear that his knee will be recovered in 4 weeks. So how bad is it? You know, and if you're willing to die to beat me, and you know, but I don't know. Obviously, Daniel knows fighting me not at 100% is not a good idea. And I don't want him to have any excuses for why he loses the second time. So let him take his time off. Like I said, let him get his family together, go down, get some more photos done, hang over there, the chimney or whatever, because he knows this belt's going to be back around my waist really soon. You might as well go do some autograph signings, bring the belt with him, do some seminars as the champ, because all this shit's going to be over for him real soon.
Do you have a plan in place, Jon? Do you feel like, okay, April 23rd, I'll fight this, then maybe UFC 200, we can have that massive fight, and it's a big stage. Like, have you sort of planned out how you want things to go here?
Well, I would absolutely be honored to fight. You know, if I don't have any injuries, you know, after this fight, I'll be honored to fight at UFC 100 or the first fight in New York against Daniel Cormier. Trying to get in there and get this done as soon as possible. Like I said, everything I've done has been for beating Daniel. So I'm trying to hurry up and get this fight with him while I'm still just so well trained for him.
Do you want the next fight after OSP to be Daniel, or are you open? Like, if he's out for an extended...
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. You're not going to do anything else?
I'm not going to say that. I mean, if he pulls another stunt, well, I won't say he pulls a stunt. If he's not recovered, and if it takes extreme long time, then obviously I'll entertain another fight. But I would like to fight Daniel as soon as possible. You know, right now I feel like I'm the best light heavyweight on the planet. You know, that's why I told Dana that, hey, I'll fight whoever. And that's what me and my coach is talking about. Hey, Jon, if you're the best in the world, and if you believe it in your heart, if you believe that it's your time, that this is your story, and that other light heavyweights are living in it, you know, then go out there and prove it. Go out there and be that guy. Go be the best in the world. You're going to fight them all anyway. So that's where we feel. So, like I said, if I have to, you know, most people look at this fight with OSP as a risk. You know, why risk your immediate title shot? Why risk? I'm risking it because I feel like I'm the best. And so I'll fight anybody. But I would much rather fight Daniel Cormier and sit him down for good once and for all. Get him behind that commentary desk. Or next to you, Ariel, on your show. How cool would that be?
You know, I like to see him fight. I want to see the fight as well, so I don't want to see him retire or anything like that. That's the fight. You know, it would be somewhat... It would be strange if... You remember way back in the day, I said to you that you needed a Frazier to Ali. Could you imagine if the first main event at MSG, where Frazier Ali won, was made famous back March 8th of 1971, if it is you versus Daniel Cormier? That'd be kind of weird, right? Almost like I predicted it.
No, you know, didn't Frazier end up beating Ali once?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so me and Daniel will never be Frazier and Ali.
Fair enough.
Be whoever Ali just beat twice or 3 times or whatever.
Fair enough. Last question, Jon. And again, I really appreciate this. I know you're very busy and you've been talking to a lot of people today, so this means the world. Thank you. Have you been able? I know I saw a great Instagram of you and your team. Izzy Martinez was there. Brandon Gibson. You guys are all taking down notes. You got your nice haircut. The beard is flowing like it has in the past. But have you been able to take a step back in all of this and look at what the last year and a half has been like and just be like, wow, one day, if this all goes to plan, this is just the craziest roller coaster ever to a fight, between two fights. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Are you cognizant of what's going on? And are you tired of the roller coaster? Do you want it to end? Do you want to just go on like a lazy river type of ride? Like, I'm wondering if you're just the kind of guy who takes a step back and just looks at everything and being like, wow, this is craziness, and how you feel about it all.
You know, at the end of the day, I have grown so much, man, and for that, you know, I'm grateful and I'm blessed to be so alive. You know, the good and the bad. You know, I mean, to be in this position, to be scrutinized and judged by millions of people, and to mess up in front of millions of people. You know, it's freeing in a way. You know, it helps you just just grow and to learn to just be strong in your own skin and be strong and comfortable in who you are. And, you know, it's just an interesting place to be in, you know, to be me right now. You know, so much to be grateful for, so much to be appreciative for, you know. It's, I just take it. I've grown so much, man. I feel more mature than ever right now. I feel more like a man than ever right now. You know, I've really developed a lot just from being in these positions and predicaments that I've been in. Just more comfortable in my own skin and things like that. So, it's a great place to be in, man. I feel so alive, and I've learned to take the good with the bad, and to realize that, you know, bad times are good for your development. You know, be willing to listen and to pay attention to what's happening in your life and make appropriate changes and things like that. So man, I also know at the end of the day, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You know, as long as you have a positive outlook on life and positive outlook on yourself, and you're not willing to quit, despite how rocky things get. You know that things are going to things are going to get better. There's always going to be, you know, a better day, sunshine the next day. You know, so through everything I've been through, you know, to win these fights, man, to win my next fight, you know, to get my belt back, you know, to continue trying to do better. It's going to be that much better. Be that much more glory because of all the hell that I've gone through. So I'm just being patient. You know, I'm just being resilient. I'm just remaining unbroken. And my day's going to come. You know, sunshine's going to come.
We will leave it at that. Jon, again, thank you. I hope for a smooth ride to April 23rd. Everything goes well. Maybe a little more boring week than the previous week. I wish you the best, man, and really, I thank you for coming on. It means a lot, and it's great to talk to you, and it's great to hear.
Right, no point intended.
What's that? No pun intended, my man. Smooth sailing. How about that? You're not much of a sailor, are you?
I don't run into Officer Brown.
What's that?
Again for the fight. So hopefully, I don't run into Officer Brown again before the fight.
Amen to that, and everything goes well, and we look forward to seeing you in action on April 23rd. Again, Jon, all the best. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, take care, brother.
All right, there he is. Jon Jones, great to hear from him, as always, and certainly some interesting comments from him about the entire situation. Can't thank him and his team enough for coming on 2 weeks in a row. That is a very rare thing. Do not get used to that, my friends. Not a guy that we have had often on this show, and certainly not one who is easy to track down. So a very, very big thank you to his team and of course, Jon, for coming on 2 weeks in a row. Now, the UFC and USADA have just officially broken the news that Yoel Romero, who we reported on earlier this morning, I reported that according to sources would be receiving less than the 9-month suspension that was originally discussed between him and USADA. Remember, he was on this program, talked about how he took a tainted supplement, and what's going on here? Talked about how he took a tainted supplement, and his team, Malki Kawa's manager, believed that he did not deserve any kind of punishment, or at least maybe a slap on the wrist, a public warning, if you will. Well, the 9-month suspension that they discussed, they could not agree on, so they were going to go to arbitration. He was going to become the first UFC fighter to officially appeal a suspension, a 2-year suspension from USADA. And then early this morning, I officially confirmed that he was going to get less than a 9-month suspension. Well, USADA has now officially announced that he is getting a 6-month suspension, meaning he is free to fight July 12th. He received word that he was provisionally suspended January 12th, so he gets a 6-month suspension now, meaning he is free to fight July 12th. A great turn of events for Yoel Romero, and hopefully some hope for others who feel like they have been wrong, that there is some wiggle room there. Now, I have received an exclusive statement from Yoel Romero, which I would like to read now about this matter, and then we will get to our final guest of the day. Here it is. Quote, and I should remind you that this statement was originally said in Spanish and then translated into English. Of course, we know that Yoel is fluent in Spanish. He's learning his English, but not to this point. So here it is, quote, "I would like to thank my family, friends, teammates, and fans for sticking by me through this ordeal. With that said, yesterday I agreed to a sanction of 6 months suspension for taking a supplement 5 days after my last win that USADA has confirmed was indeed tainted. My management team and I will be pursuing legal action, against the supplement company within the next few weeks. For those of you that believe me, I thank you. For the ones that didn't, I hope I have given you a reason to believe in hard work. As for the ones that try to ruin my name, we will meet very soon. Hashtag y nuevo," which I believe in Spanish translates, or in English translates to "and new." So powerful words there from Yoel Romero. The end, once again, I repeat, as for the ones that try to ruin my name, we will meet very soon. A man whose name was dragged through the mud when this all happened, many people sort of dancing on his grave. Yoel Romero now receiving a 6-month suspension, or a sanction, if you will, from USADA. He, once again, will be free to fight July 12th. And one wonders if he gets an immediate title shot, as he was promised after the Jacare win, or if he has to fight someone else. It's going to be interesting to see.